The other was gain buy-in and regularly communicate, right? And so I mentioned earlier Paul Marchand on our team, who's been sort of driving that for well over a year, that internal drive and that communication. This has been, a major piece of this because there are stumbling blocks along the way. There are hurdles along the way. There are revelations that happen, like the phone call, right, with the UK that said, not so much with Infinite, right? Infinite works great. It sits on the North America side. It's gorgeous. We love it. But as we go into and we're creating the European hub and the career site for China and the career site, for all of the different markets that we're going to be in, there'll be a different message, right, that's out there that speaks to them, we hope. So status updates, ongoing communications, and having the right people and trusting the right people to lead these teams was vital, okay? Because we were looking to move quickly, not too quickly, but we also, you can't miss a beat when you're working on something like this, especially this scale. And then I think, the partnerships are critical, right? That we learned along the way that candid dialogue, to have a recruiting team on that call that was comfortable with saying, not so much with Infinite, that's not going to talk to our candidates here. For them to feel comfortable enough to say, look, hey, we're just talking, it's just us. I'm just saying, that may not work for us, right? It was vital. It would have been a huge miss.
Just real quick, what's the size of your talent acquisition organization? Scale.
Globally, I think we're just over 100 recruiters.
So think through that, right? I think that's you've probably got a lot of other folks in there that are helping out with that, given your employee size. Mm-hmm. But to have a culture of 100 people who you're leading through this, to have someone step up and say, I don't think so, mm-hmm. and then have that fundamentally change the direction of where you take this. Right? That's why we ask for feedback. That's why we include the people who are going to consume this in our decision-making process. That's why we have to get the ownership of those who are going to ultimately do this for us.
Well, and these are real recruiters. I mean, these guys this is turnkey recruiting. This is hardcore sourcing. These guys dig in and do the phones. I mean, that doesn't include, of course, necessarily all of the support. I mean, there's a tremendous team that's behind that. But yeah, so to be able to have these guys weigh in and feel comfortable weighing in was a major win for us.
Brilliant.
So just a few more things that we learned.
This isn't Infinite, is it?
No.
Okay.
Bumps in the road, right? It's not going to be seamless. You are going to run into some hurdles, whether it be with the hurdle that we all love to bitch about, the legal department, or whether it be with the brand issues or copyright issues or font or marketing, or they're going to be out there. Right? Even messaging, even internal to your own team. You may just have somebody that just hates the first run of the pickup, right? The second piece is strong team leadership. You've got to have it, and you've got to believe in their capabilities, right? They're on your team for a reason. So we needed to empower them, right? And have a dedicated leader to drive that so that would be successful. And then align the messaging, right? The goal was to all sing from one hymnal. And I think that resonates sort of along the same lines of being communicative, right? And staying engaged with one another. And the biggest was to have fun, right? We had to have fun on this project because we believe that will come through in the brand and in the messaging and how we deliver it. If we're all, oh God, another brand call. We're not going to be creative. We're not going to be able to knock some stuff out of the park. We're not going to think differently and think bigger. So this has to be a project that has strong leadership on it, but people on your teams that are willing to be engaged and want to make a difference, right? That really want to be engaged. And one I think that I didn't put on here is from a trust factor and to trust yourself. It's funny because of the creative that we used for a lot of this didn't come from a big agency, right? We didn't use an employment agency. We didn't use necessarily a huge branding agency. It's a funny story, and I don't know how we are on time. So,
time.
Okay.
Just keep talking till they cut you off.
All right.
Time check for us, please.
It's like being at home. Yeah. So Paul is in a deli shop getting a sandwich, and the guy behind him, they start chatting it up, and it turns out this guy runs an agency where he does creative work. He's done some Time Magazine covers and this and that, and his work was pretty sharp, and we brought this guy in. He's been phenomenal. It's Joseph Designs. It's actually out of Jersey, but the guy's been phenomenal. He's been a huge partner, and we didn't just go to Joe and say, okay, you do the creative, and that's all we're paying you to do, right? Joe brought in a new vision, brought in a new aspect or a new perspective on some items that we hadn't thought of. So really trusting our gut, I mean, that's what we do. We're people, right? Trusting our gut to bring people into the team that make sense for the project and allowing them to weigh in as full partners and fully sharing with them, what we want to accomplish has been tremendous.
So there, I think you answered the question that people are going to say is, can I do this? If you're PepsiCo, of course you can do it. Not a big agency, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of time, effort, and energy from your own team and engaging the resources, whether that's 2 people or 200 people, right? So I feel like no one can help you understand who you are better than you and your organization. Mm-hmm. So we don't need big consultants to do that. I know there's a lot of people in the room who make money doing that. So, but at some point, I think this can be done. Without having the horsepower of PepsiCo.
I agree. Well, I think
do
that's
you
the
feel
big
that?
win.
I mean, because I don't think there's anything here that says you have to have $19 billion brands behind you in order to pull this off. Just saying.
Yeah, and so I have no more slides, so I'm hoping this is where we can really start to talk. But those will rotate through kind of some of the fun. We've taken on putting these in different languages, and we've, which has been, you want to talk about a big challenge. There are some languages where the word possibilities does not exist. So recrafting that message again and engaging the local talent, the local employees to talk to us about how this would better, what will resonate locally, and switching that up a little bit and delivering it. So it's been a phenomenal journey, albeit quick on the end of kind of getting it out to everybody, but a long, lengthy, and tough piece to push through. But I'm hoping that the message is that it's not a horsepower issue, it's a willpower issue.
Oh. That's a tweet.
Is that tweetable? Did I get at least one
Twitter
tweetable
gold.
out of this?
Twitter gold, right? So I think in the time that we have left, we've got people queuing to ask questions. So are you cool with that? We want to go into. I have tons
don't
of them,
ask
but
me
I'd
anything
rather
terribly
have theirs,
hard. No.
So let's go. We've got China Gorman actually first in queue here to ask a question. China.
That's a phenomenal case study of how a corporate culture that's based on humanness, respect, transparency, listening, right? So compare and contrast the cultural experience of your team, based with 100 people, but probably extended beyond that, to the larger Pepsi culture. Are those cultural values pervasive throughout the organization, and was this a micro story of the larger, or is this an individual internal culture that is not pervasive in the organization?
So I can answer based on my experience so far being with PepsiCo, and understanding that the project certainly wasn't done in a vacuum, and that it wasn't done with just the focus piece. And I think that in our attempt to show that really this is a culture that is universal to our organization, this passion, this drive, this empowerment, we have begun the video library, where we will show employees not standing up and saying, hey, look, here's a cool job, right? This is not, we don't want to do day in the life of employment videos. Quite frankly, I think most of those are crap. Right? I get up and I tell you, this is what I do all day, and this is, and I'm, now we're going to give this to a video editor who's going to try to make my job look exciting, but I'm really on the. That's just bullshit, right? The goal was to turn around and deliver a story about the culture and help convey the culture. And if you don't like it, if you don't like the story, if you don't like the culture, not the culture for you.
Opt out.
Yeah, move along. I mean, it's, I don't want to say it's our first pre-screening leg. But if you don't want to work at a place that, and so this sounds like a backward pitch, but I mean, if you don't want to work at a place where these employees are incredibly excited about how they're actually impacting the environment, because that's their focus, right? Or, how they're able to actually coach from within, it's fine if that's not your thing. But the goal was to develop a library. I think we have 2 up now. We're getting ready to launch 2 more that'll be out there that show this is everywhere. This is in every department. This is in every group. This is who we are. And can I just say how awesome it is that China Gorman asked me a question?
Starstruck.
I know, right? I'm gushing.
We'll take one more. Right, here we go.
Tim Roof from New Jersey. I'm a marketing guy for 25 years, so I mean, this is really cool stuff. And I mean, I love it, and it's intuitive to me. But putting myself in the place of HR leaders at maybe smaller companies that want to embark on an initiative like this, I know they're probably thinking, well, how am I going to sell this? And I'm just wondering whether you have any plans of any metrics to measure it. I mean, I know intuitively it makes perfect sense. And I'd be the first one to tell you, well, it's got to work. But are there any thoughts about how we might track it and feed back to the organization the value that this has created?
That's an excellent question. I am a tracking mofo. Oh. I love my data. I love my analytics. I love my reports. I mean, if you're on my team or if I've ever needed a report, I will beat on you with a stick to give me the data that we need to put together to tell the right story. And I'm shameless about it. I mean, how many people here know how much traffic career-related searches drive to their corporate websites? You better go find out. How many people here know how much of the traffic can be accountable to career-related pages? PepsiCo.com, year to date, 40% of the traffic on the website are career pages. Think about that for a minute. In the top 5 search terms, right, that drive traffic to PepsiCo.com, 3 of them are career-related. Right? If you can walk into leadership and say, hey, this ain't a seat at the table, we get a leaf. Right? We are half of this table in terms of traffic and deliverable, and we are lackluster in marketing at best. Right? It's time to pony up. Right? It's time to bring us in and let us play, and we can show you where the return will be. We did benchmark. We flatlined everything out from the start. We have those analytics, so we're beginning to measure that traffic that's a result. And of course, we tag the hell out of everything that we do online, right? Auto tagging, so that we can track that traffic and attribute that to any marketing efforts or initiatives that we're doing. So, short answer, yep.
And just for the group on the call, I know we're going to get some feedback on that seat at the table, but I think Mark Stelzner should be okay with you using it since you said we need a leaf at the table.
Yeah, we need put a whole middle piece in there for us.
I think that's a whole progress. That's progress for us, right?